It's that time of year again. No, not that one. It's time for Second Life's birthday. Second Life turns 22 this year, and this year we celebrate myths and legends. You are hereby cordially invited to tour the amazing resident exhibits, dance at the beautiful new stages, and attend the Meet the Lindens events. And no birthday would be complete without presents, right? There are Swaginator prizes to be had and a Dragon Egg collection hunt. And like always, there are gifts to enjoy at the Shop and Hop. Maybe you'll even find an extra special present for yourself or a friend there too. SL22B opens on June 20th, 2025 and runs through July 20th. So put on your best armor, make an offering to the teleport gods, and come on down to SLB Awesome and start your quest today. It's gonna be legendary.
Hello, everybody. Can everybody hear me? I am Mischievous Mole, more commonly known as Missy Mole, and we are just about to get started with our first Meet the Lindens event of the week. So I just want to make sure that everybody in all three regions can hear us before I get started here. All right. I have a general sense that we're having people chime in from Imagination, Astound, and Astonish. Yes, Imagination can hear us. Okay, Astonish is working, and we have Astound. All right, let's get going. Once again, I am Missy Mole, and I would like to welcome you to the first in a series of town hall events with Linden Lab executives at SL22B. Through the end of the week, we'll be chatting with various Linden Lab executives and team members to learn more about the past, present, and future of Second Life. Be sure to join us later this week for opportunities to hear from our product and engineering team tomorrow, our marketing team on Thursday, the Moles on Friday, and even Second Life founder Philip Rosedale, who will be here live on Wednesday. For today, we are pleased to be joined by several key members of the product operations, customer success, and trust and safety team. Topics on tap today include lots of questions about land and Linden homes, customer support, account security, and much more. With us today are Senior Vice President of Product Operations, Customer Support, and Trust and Safety, Patch Linden, the Manager of Customer Success and Trust and Safety, Keira Linden, and our creative producer, Izzy Linden. So I'm just going to hand this over and let them all say hello to you. Patch, would you like to go first?
Hi there. I'm so excited to be here.
And we are excited to be talking to you today. We have some really great questions here. Keira, let you have a chance to just test your mic and say hello.
Hi, I'm Keira. Nice to be here. Happy to be here with all you today.
And Izzy, last but not least.
Thank you, Mischievous. I'm Izzy Linden, and I'm so glad to be here in front of everybody.
About a week ago, we asked the community to submit questions in advance, and we got over 100 inquiries. So I have taken those questions. I'm going to group them by topic and theme so that we can keep things moving. But let's get started with land and Linden homes. So this question is for Patch. Can you share plans for Linden homes? Are there going to be more themes implemented, or is the home expansion coming to a close? Will there be additional floor plans for existing premium homes?
Well, that's a pretty big, open, vague question. There's a lot of stuff in the works, and as a lot of you know, we just recently released Aspen Ridge, and we also released updates to the log homes by adding some additional floor plans. As we kind of go along and do additional releases and even updates where we go back and revisit older themes and such, we are working on doing some various updates and such to them, technology wise as we go. The notion of updating all of Belisari and all of the Linden homes to PBR is a challenge because of how big everything is now, and we're gonna continue to kind of chip away at those little improvements and such as we go. The next theme, and I'll just go ahead and tease this now, is right around the corner. It will be a Premium Plus based theme, and it will be a theme that we're calling Ridgewood Enclave. I'll just leave that with you as far as the name's concerned and let you imagine what that might be. But that will also include our foray into commercial. We will have the ability to have commercial parcels with this theme rolling out, and it will be separate and kind of its own thing. It will take advantage of using your land allotment where you can split it between home and commercial parcel district store. And we'll have more exciting information about that as we get closer to launch. That may also come a little bit after the homes themselves go out. So homes first, commercial district second. But that was kind of one of the big pieces of news I wanted to share. And throughout the rest of the year, we have other things planned. There's going to be other updates. There's going to be another theme. We'll by the end of the year be we're currently 10 regular premium themes and 4 Premium Plus themes. This will be 5 coming out next, and the theme at the end of the year will actually be a mix of both, including Plus. So we'll have a broad array of homes and sizes and such to come with the big theme that comes at the end of the year, and it'll have some exciting features baked into it as well.
That sounds like there's a lot to be looking forward to. New themes coming and commercial aspect to the Ridgewood Enclave. That's very exciting. I definitely want to find out more about that. I have another question, not specifically about Linden homes, but about land. Is Linden Lab planning to make private land, specifically homesteads, more accessible by offering discounted Premium Plus homestead tiers? The person who sent us this question thought that this could really help creators who need in-world demo spaces and also help ensure truly private areas, because when you have to put up ban lines and security orbs, it can disrupt the neighborhood. And so there was this question if homesteads might be more affordable.
So I don't see discounts on the horizon, but what I did want to take this opportunity to remind folks of is that we do offer the ability to pay for regions with the Linden dollar. So you can sign up for a program that we have offered through the Premium Plus subscription, where you can have a region and pay for it through Linden dollars. And with the way the balance of economies and such goes, the price in Linden dollars for the regions hasn't changed, even though we've sometimes seen some movement on the Lindex here recently. And I just wanted to kind of remind folks of that. The notion of discounting them at the moment, though, isn't something that we were considering.
Okay. This question is about larger land options, both in this terms of parcel size, so larger square meterage, and also the land impact, the prims. This person has noticed that Second Life offers up to 45,000 land impact on some regions, yet it doesn't seem that this option is available to everyone. Wouldn't larger single regions be a great option to have, because they would allow for a more immersive experience without having to worry about crossing region borders.
Yeah, we get the question about increasing land impacts pretty often, and it's something that we consider. We have to. There's a balance there though that we have to kind of maintain and walk. You know, there's the performance of the region in consideration with the asset load, right? All of the objects and everything that you can kind of pack into a region against all of the other regions, right, in Second Life across all of the various, well, they were servers, now they're instances on Amazon, and how they run and how performant they are. And there's a lot of work that goes into kind of figuring out what the right balance is for making sure that things are maintaining reasonable and good performance to, you know, the load that the regions themselves can potentially be placed under. 45,000 prims, we have 60,000, 80,000 prim regions. We've experimented with them all the way up to that point. In fact, we have a couple of them running around internally and in various places. That's probably where some people have seen those numbers and such on various project regions that we've done in the past. But the interesting thing is that, you know, we're comfortable with making small tweaks and advancements as time kind of goes on and as technology improves, and you know, things with the simulator you know, improve in that regard as well. And it is something that we've actually been talking about and considering internally. So there may be some more news on that, you know, at some point in the near future. So stay tuned to, you know, where we would normally announce those sorts of things. But we have been thinking about it, and we've been thinking about it pretty recently.
I know that no matter how hard I try, I never seem to have enough prims. So if the opportunity came along for me to have more land impact on my land, that would be amazing. And I'm sure everybody here would agree with me on
Yes.
that. This is another one about land and regions. Would it be possible for Second Life to offer more server options to choose from when purchasing land? Also, every region request needs to be submitted as a ticket. Wouldn't it be simpler if region owners had more autonomy over their regions and could do some of the things ourselves that require a ticket now?
Yeah, we're always looking at ways to kind of better, you know, we'll call it self-serve, right? Not too long ago, we offered and gave the ability, for example, to restart the regions from, you know, the My Account dashboard on SecondLife.com. We have been looking at and considering some other additional features where, you know, we could potentially do things like let you rename the region and such, you know, probably through either the same or similar portal or the land store. I don't want to speak for the team that's got to, you know, bear the burden of the work and such, and I don't know where this is on their roadmap, but it is something that we've considered and thought about for a long time that we would like to get done. As for the kind of the other part of that, the you know, the different types of server options that are available, you know, we do have a few choices you can make with a full region. For example, if you want something more performant, we do offer the Events Pro 30K and Event Elite regions, you know, and they do cost more per month. But like these regions that we're in now, they're running basically at the Event Elite level, and you know, they have a stronger AWS instancing that backs them, so that they run better, and you can turn up the agent attendance levels on them, you know, well past 150 pretty comfortably, and get a lot of people into them, and the performance actually remains pretty good to this day. So there are some choices that can be made there when you buy a region, or you can always upgrade to them if you just contact support and request to have a region upgraded. We can do that, and it's basically making a few changes on the back end, and we can get the region set up to run at those more performant levels.
I know that there's been a big change in the birthday itself since we were able to switch over to the event regions. I think it has allowed us to expand the way we have and everybody to have a wonderful experience. So I can speak very highly of the event regions and their stability, their performance. I encourage everybody to get one. This is an interesting question. I would like to know why the sun rises in the west and sets in the east in the Thousand Islands region of Belisaria. Are there plans to ever change that? This person has tiki torches that should turn on and off depending on the time of day. They work great in the stilt homes region, but the same settings don't work at the tiki homes.
So I'd have an answer that I would love for everybody to buy, and I'd like to say that the location being a tropical one intentionally has a reverse day-night cycle because it's in the southern hemisphere, and try to spin that into some way that everybody would believe me. But in all seriousness, it's that we recently was brought to our attention, and the fix is already in the works for it.
Yeah, I would have totally bought that, Izzy. Southern, you had me at southern hemisphere. I'm like, okay, that must be true.
Kind of like how the water goes down the toilet bowl in the opposite direction.
Right. Which I learned from The Simpsons. I didn't realize that. All right. Next question. Will all the Linden homes be updated to PBR materials, and also will there be a premium plus version of the season landscaping?
I mentioned earlier that everything we're doing now is being brought out, in PBR, and we're also building in the fallback, the Blindfong fallback on all of the content to make sure that nobody's left behind. That to us and backwards compatibility is super important. And as we kind of continue to go through and make some updates and changes and such to the other Linden home themes over time, they'll get there. It's not the type of thing that we can probably pump the brakes on all of our other projects and accomplish very quickly, but we're going to move through that as we can over time. It's valuable, and it's important to me that we go back and kind of revisit stuff from the past, keep it fresh and update it, and as we can, we'll go ahead and make those changes. Just because landscaping itself was specifically mentioned, landscaping is going to be one of the very hard ones to do. Going through and basically ripping out and re-landscaping all of the regions would probably be a huge task, and I don't know if we'll ever get to that eventuality, but the home models and the things that we can change through our updating systems and such, absolutely.
I, as in the reader, the resident, would like to know if there is a possibility of developing themed mainlands with covenants, a little like private regions, that will allow the opportunity for Plus, Premium, and Premium Plus residents to actually build in theme without being surrounded by inappropriate and often intrusive builds.
Well, that sounds like Belisaria.
Doesn't it, little?
I think that one of the fundamental, things that we've kind of maintained, and the difference between something like Belisaria versus the mainland is free to go build as you will. I like the idea. It's definitely got its pros, and it's something that we have thought about in the past, and it's always worth kind of revisiting and reconsidering it. I don't know where it would land though and be successful, in the sense that, is it a fully covenanted experience like Linden Homes and Belisaria, for example, or is it something in between, or is it just to limit certain things? And so digging in on this, I've heard various examples given over time where folks just kind of want ban lines eliminated, or they want them limited to only be able to go up to a certain height to allow free air travel and things of that nature. Whereas like in the Covenant for Belisaria and the security orb system that we've designed specifically has limitations and features in place to ensure to protect that experience, plus we don't allow the ban lines to be turned on. So there's a lot to kind of balance and consider here when fundamentally we've always kind of stood up the mainland product, as it were, as a whole, as kind of the Wild West, if you want to make it that, or whatever it is, that people want to build, versus something like a more controlled thematic experience like Belisaria. And then, of course, there's all the wonderful, great examples of the private estates and such that exist out there that do other business models that are kind of similar and offering like rentals and things of that nature, with various types of access controls and capabilities or abilities to build as you will. So it's not a no. It's an interesting to consider, and it's something that I'll continue to invest thought on over time. And if we feel like that at some point the mainland needs a change in its model, I would probably want to bring that back to the community and discuss it more specifically and directly, rather than trying to package into a quick little question here.
Some of these questions are a little hard to give a 3-minute answer to.
Yeah.
But they're good for generating thought.
Yeah.
Okay, so I learned a new term today. It's called Game of Homes. And I have a couple of questions here about Game of Homes and how some people play that in finding their perfect Linden home. The first question was a suggestion, really, that the Game of Homes would be a lot easier for end users if there were no repeats in the 5 per day search. Would that be possible? Because if it was, people would probably find their perfect home more quickly.
Yes. So for those who don't know the origins of Game of Homes, and I don't remember who on the team coined the phrase, I don't remember. It might have been me. I'm not sure. But Game of Homes is taking your account and like, for example, when we release a new theme, you go and try to get one of the new homes, and if you don't like the location, or you want to try and just find a better location, even if the location you found is good, which we like to think that of all of our locations, you do what people calls re-roll the home. You basically abandon that home and then try again and pick up another one, and you can do that up to 5 times in a 24-hour period. And when people run out of the tries, it's frustrating. It's not frustrating. We didn't intend it to be by design, but we had to put the limit in to protect the systems, not just the homes and their systems themselves, but also the web server side systems from getting creaky and falling over, and not dealing with the traffic from that happening. So the 5 home roll, as people call it, limit is in place to kind of protect the infrastructure. Rapidly switching homes, as in parcels, or even switching back and forth between themes, whether that's the same or not, and or picking up a home and releasing it over and over and over again, could place a lot of undue load on the systems. And the last thing we want to have happen is for it to just crash and go down, and then it takes some time to recover and come back up. So it kind of protects all of that, keeps things going. It's much like on release days, you'll hear us ask, hey, try to go slow when you're changing your homes, even though you've already got a parcel and such, because everything's just under such tremendous load and stress that, we want things to work right. And if you go too fast, it might skip. It might miss whatever it is you wanted to do. If you want to switch from, one home to another floor plan wise, it just may not happen if you're going too fast. So, we just want to keep things up, running, happy, so that people can have maximum accessibility as things improve. And I think that, in our newer found world of AWS servers and such, as the team that works on that particular code kind of gets around to, modernizing it some more, maybe we can see that come up. Maybe it can get lifted. I don't know. I don't want to speak for them and what they can, promise performance-wise, but it is something that we kind of keep in the back of our minds all the time is something we would like to at least make better from the standpoint of could we increase the limit.
So the follow-up question to that is, I guess you get 5 picks a day, and it sounds like sometimes you get the same homes offered to you over and over again during those 5 picks. And the question was about that specifically. Is that something that could be...
Oh, right. Repeats.
Yes.
Right, repeats. Yes, that's inevitable and is going to potentially happen. What happens is as the assigner goes through and says, hey, I've got this pool of available homes, and it becomes especially true as the available pool of homes shrinks. The chance or likelihood that it's going to kind of get stuck or oscillate on the same home that's coming up available over and over and over again is likely. And it's a system, again, that's old as Linden homes, all of them, as old as all Linden homes themselves are, if that gives you an idea of how long the system's been around, that it just kind of gets stuck on giving that same home out until somebody takes it and stays on it, and then it'll move on. But it's as random it can be, and it tries to do the best it can.
Kind of like a grandma with a cookie. And she's like, if I offer you this cookie enough,
yeah,
it will be the cookie you want.
Yeah. Now, support generously will release the 5-try cap if you've gotten stuck, because we can see that, right? So if you happen to hop into live chat and say, hey, I just tried to change homes 5 times and I kept getting assigned the same one over and over and over again, if you hop into live chat and ask them to release or reset, it's not a release, it's reset the 5 limit counter, they can do that for you 1 time in a day.
Well, that's good to know. Now, is there a way that you can simply go in and you found your perfect location and you're like, this is the home I want? Is there a way to do that?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you happen to see a parcel that's vacant and you're Premium Plus and you want to try and claim it, if you file a support ticket with the land operations team, they resolve those very, very quickly, and they'll try to get it to you. Sometimes try to give them a second choice just in case, for whatever reason, especially during the newness of a theme. This tends to move a little too fast, and in fact, we tell people, hey, we're not going to accept tickets for the first 24 hours or whatnot. But if you find a parcel and if you have a secondary one for backup, the team will try to get that assigned to you directly.
Another perk of Premium Plus.
Yeah.
All right. We are going to switch from land and Linden homes to some other topics. But before we do that, I just want to make sure that people know that Squeaky is up here. And if anybody in the audience has a question that has just kind of come to them based on what we're talking about, or that they didn't get to put in when the question portal was open, you can send them to him. And if we have time, we will definitely try to get to some of those at the end of this. And I also realized that when I introduced everybody, I forgot to introduce him. Oh, the other person up here is Squeaky. Take a bow. All right, we're moving on to questions about adult. If you travel along any mainland road, you will find adult content clearly visible, regardless of the region rating. Graphic sexual images can be found near family-friendly locations on moderate land. Why is governance unable to effectively moderate this content, and what efforts have been taken to moderate content?
Hop in for that one. So yeah, there are times when people put up content that is not appropriate for the region rating. I think we've probably all seen that from time to time. We really rely on the community to report instances like that. Mainland is huge. If you haven't flown over it, walked through it, driven through it, whatever, there's a lot, and we can't see everything all at once. So we really rely on the community to submit an abuse report if you see something that's in a general rated a general rated region. If you see some content that should not be there, if it's adult rated, definitely send in the abuse report. You can just right click on that object, or if it's an avatar who is doing something they shouldn't be, right click on the avatar, choose report, and then just fill in all the details. Give us as much detail as you can, exactly what you saw, where it happened, when it happened. More detail is always better when it comes to reports like that. We take all that information that's in there and do that review and pay a visit out to the parcel. Take a look at the content, take a look at the rating on the region, and if the content needs to be returned, it's returned. If we need to speak to the owner of that parcel or the owner of the content that we've returned, we will do that as well. So please make sure that if you see it, to report it so that we can head out there and take a look at it.
Now, I have a question. If someone files a abuse report, is their name connected with it? I mean, does the person say that you go and you're returning something, or they're filing an abuse report on a person? Does that avatar know who filed it on them?
No. Nope, that is all confidential. The only thing that you see if you're submitting an abuse report, you do get a receipt in return that says, thank you for submitting this, and lets you know that has been lodged with us, and we'll take a look at it when we can. But the individual who we would be visiting, they don't know who it was reported by. They just know that we want to have a little chat with them.
So if people are being abused, I mean, this is more about being like harassed or something, they don't need to feel afraid to make a report about that, because it's not going to necessarily come back around to them as them being identified.
Correct. Yep. It is all completely confidential.
Okay. All right. I think these questions, a lot of them are for you too, Keira. They're about support, which you are the manager of. And I found another new term today. It's customer success, which I love that new phrasing for the department. First question is the idea of hiring remote staff for tech support being considered again?
I'll take that first one. The team is, the teams, let me say that, it's plural, operates out of different areas. Depending on what team you're on, that kind of dictates where we can hire you. If it's customer success and trust and safety, those teams work out of our office in Atlanta. If it's product operations or any of the teams that follow under that umbrella, they potentially can be hybrid and or remote. So we do have a blend still of both, depending on where and what department and teams you're on, that can potentially be hired remotely.
Now, you've been hiring new people for the customer support and the trust and safety teams. And these are people that deal with the support tickets, right?
Correct, for the customer success team.
Okay. Now, this question is, and we have a couple of questions here, that support tickets, there's been a delay in getting them answered. And there's just questions about, is that being worked on? Is it going to get better? Can you give any information about that?
Yeah, I got to start this, and I think Keira can jump in too. We took on the task of reorganizing the support teams and such back towards the end of last year. The unfortunate and unintended consequence that had was it caused a support backlog in the sense of getting tickets answered quickly. We long enjoyed the ultra fast and very reasonable SLA times that we used to maintain of no more than 72 hours back then, and we unfortunately went well beyond that. In some cases, I will acknowledge and just be transparent and upfront, some of the different support case types that we have and had coming in, we're taking upwards of a couple of months to resolve and get to, which is painful and obviously not where we want to be. And I can't apologize more than I am now, and enough for those who've gotten trapped or stuck in those situations. Now, as we have moved forward, what we've been working very diligently on is hiring and completing the the staff changes and such that we made for both of the teams, and we basically are almost done with that. We have a couple more roles that we are looking to fill over the next couple of months, and the team is even larger than what it was prior to our reorg by about 10 people. So with that, we've made significant progress in many areas of our support ticket queues. Most of them have returned back to their 72-hour SLAs. Phone support and live chat support is moving very well, and we're seeing the fruition of getting all of the teams and all of the folks involved trained and brought up to speed on those efforts. Keira, what do you have to add to that?
I just wanted to kind of add, my sincerest apologies for the delay that people have seen in their support tickets. I know how frustrating it is thinking that you have been abandoned. I know we've had people who have been waiting to get back into their accounts for several months. As Patch said, all of the hiring that we've done is in preparation to, get back to the point where we were prior to our reorg. As he said, we have expanded the number of people that we have, and that gives us, a lot more coverage, and it gives us the ability to get through a lot more tickets during the day. So I think it was in January we looked at our ticket backlog. We were somewhere around the 7,000 or 7,500 ticket number there. We've pretty much cut that in half at this point. And we're moving pretty quickly to knock that down even more. The team is working really hard. We've got a great crew on that's picking up things really quickly. They're super excited about being here and being in Second Life and helping you all. And they have really just kind of taken it and run with it. And they're trying to get through those tickets just as quickly as possible. So we expect that backlog to go down even quicker. We have very few tickets remaining that have been waiting for a month or a little bit longer. Like I said, we're actively going through those to get to those oldest ones as fast as we can. Depending on what the issue is, it may take a little bit longer. Some tickets require a lot more investigation than other, simple, quick responses. So sometimes that takes us a little bit longer. One thing that is going to help is that we are bringing back weekend support. And that is actually starting this coming weekend. So as of this weekend, you all will be able to get into live chat or phone support on the weekend, starting the 28th. And we will be there to help you on the weekends as well. Seriously, sorry that we are taking so long to get back to some of you, but we are getting to those as quickly as we can. Thank you for kind of hanging in there with us. Bearing with us while we went through all of this, and hopefully we can rebuild a lot of that trust for y'all.
Well, I know the teams have had a huge task in trying to rebuild themselves, and so as frustrating as it can be to, of course, be waiting for a response, it's certainly understandable, and we appreciate you taking the time to kind of bring us up to speed on what's going on and what we can expect, and that things are going to get better.
Absolutely.
Had another question, and it was again pointing out to the long waits, but this was a specific question, was an anecdote actually about an experience that a creator had who she works in SL, and so she's reliant on cashing out on a regular basis. And she was recently married and changed her legal name. And she was saying that it took her over 4 months in order to get it fully resolved because she had to go through Tilia in order to get that done. And there were just a lot of basically missteps. Like she'd get information and it would say that it was done and then it wouldn't be done and she'd ask somebody else. And so this question is more about support and Tilia. Maybe eventually she did get it handled, but maybe you can talk to us a little bit about Tilia and how that kind of meshes in with the whole support arena.
Yeah, I want to thank that creator for sharing that experience. I know that is incredibly frustrating having to go back and forth, and then the length of time that it took, especially when you are waiting for that payout that you are making your living off of. So I apologize that was handled in that manner. We weren't more quick to get that resolved for you. I am working with Tilia, well, now Tunes, since the sale, to improve the support ticket response times. I'm working with their team over there, seeing where we can kind of streamline processes. Cash outs, payouts are super important for people who are making their livelihood within Second Life, and we know that. And so I want to kind of, find out where those points of friction are and eliminate those so that we can get you that information as quickly as possible. In the meantime, what I would say is to always submit your ticket to Second Life support first. That gives us the chance on our side to investigate it, look into it, see where the actual issue is. We can then work with you and let you know if, no, this is something that Tilia really does need to respond to, or Tunes rather. It's going to take me a minute to get used to that name change, especially since it starts with the same letter still. But we'll be working together to get that information out and get those types of issues resolved a little bit more quickly than we have in the past. If you jump right to Tilia first or to Tunes first, sometimes it can be kind of confusing for them. They're not sure what's going on. There may be duplication going on, and we certainly don't want, two different answers coming at you from different places. So starting with Second Life support first is always going to be the best route. Once we do our investigation, we can let you know, hey, this is going to have to be resolved by Tilia, and then we'll work on a pathway to help you get that information from that ticket on over to Tilia. So yeah, I'm pushing for faster, more coordinated handling on both of our sides, so you don't get stuck in limbo, you don't get stuck there waiting for somebody to get back to you, and so hopefully we can have a smoother process there between those types of tickets in the future.
All right. Thank you so much, Keira. I realize that I've just crashed, but never fear. I am still on voice, so I will keep going on this while I attempt to get back in world. There's a question. It sounds like this person has had issues with maybe having an account placed on hold and was not receiving email or information to let them know that had happened or what they needed to do to resolve it. And so should someone who has finds their account placed on hold, should they expect to receive some kind of information about that?
They actually should, and we should be clearly communicating what's going on if we take any action against an account, especially if we're cutting off access. When an account is placed on hold for whatever reason, we do send an email out to the address that's on that account. The message will include things like, the hold notice, your account's on hold. If there's a timeline, that you'd be able to get back in, that's included as well. But as well as a general reason for the action, what was going on there. But sometimes those emails can end up in spam or junk or promotions type folders. We've seen that happen. A lot of people have told us they never receive it. We ask them to go look in one of those folders and they find it. So especially, depending on how your email provider filters automated messages, that can affect where it lands as well. So it's always a good idea to check those folders if you haven't seen anything in your main inbox. If you double check and you still don't see it, definitely contact support to confirm what's going on. We can investigate, take a look, and see if the account was placed on hold or if there's some other reason that you're not able to get in World. But in most cases, the email goes out at the time that we place the account on hold.
Okay. There's also a question here about copybotters and the fact this resident is very thankful that Second Life allows for the reporting of copybotters, but wonders often avatars are banned, but then they just create a new account and so they come back immediately anyway. It's a bit of an inconvenience for them, but it doesn't stop them. And wondered if there's a way to IP ban a user or block their viewers so that when someone is banned, they're banned.
Yeah. Copybotting is a serious issue that we look at really, really closely. We don't want content creators losing control of the IP that they have created. So we do everything we can to make sure that that stays safe and secure. Along with seeing people who have been banned previously, are those bad actors coming back a second time, I know can be frustrating. When it comes to enforcing it, enforcing the copybot, we take action when we can, but we need to have the support ticket submitted to us that tells us what's going on, and we need that to come from the content creator themselves, because there may be particular information we need from that creator in order to do the investigation. So it's always best if that creator contacts us directly, so that if we need information, very specific information about what it is we're looking at, we can communicate directly with them and we don't have to go through several steps. Just kind of helps us get to the issue a little bit faster. So if you believe your content's been copied or misused, please submit that support ticket directly with as much information on it as you can. The object name, the location, any UUIDs, dates, any links to where you've seen the content, and we can get to it a little bit faster that way and get through the investigation quickly. In terms of, people coming back after a ban, we are always evaluating ways to strengthen our systems. It includes ways to better detect and restrict and slow down repeat offenders. But we're also looking into technical solutions that can could include, many different things. So it's just a matter of, getting the right tools in the right order to help us along with those investigations. As we're doing our investigation, we may ask to have a DMCA report filed as well. So that may be something that we need to talk to the content creator about, is to have them fill out that DMCA report. But yeah, the DMCA, the support ticket with all of that information in it about what it is that we need to go looking for and go after is going to be really critical in that investigation.
Okay, and is this information available anywhere for a creator who has seen something copybotted? Where would they find the process? Do they just start by submitting a support ticket and asking for help, or is there a wiki entry that says?
Yeah, you can start with submitting the support ticket, including what the content is, as much information as you can. We do have wiki pages on DMCA submission as well. Like I said, as we're going through that investigation, if we need to have that, we'll request it at that time. But yeah, just starting with that support ticket and letting us know what's going on, and then we can start looking into the content.
So it really seems like, in talking about all these issues, that the lab support, customer success department is really they're very open. They want people to ask questions. They want people to come and say, this is my issue. Can you help me?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I know we've talked, earlier about the backlog and how we're working on the backlog and everything. Yeah, we want to hear about it. We want to hear about anything. If there's, somebody that you see with your content and it's got somebody else's name on it as the creator, we absolutely want to hear that. I mean, our content creators are kind of, they're pretty important in Second Life, you know. We want to make sure that everybody has their content protected and that they feel free to create as they need to here, and that they're not in any jeopardy of losing control of that intellectual property.
Wonderful. And we have a couple of questions here to finish us out on trust and safety. This is about malicious activities, especially spam messages soliciting Linden dollars. It seems like there's been a real bout of that going around within group chats. And is there anything being done to address that?
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. Malicious messages, scam links are a serious problem, especially when they're showing up in group chats. And we have seen a lot of those lately. I will say the first thing that I will tell everybody is do not ever share your login credentials with anyone, even if the message seems official. Keep your account details private. Be cautious of any links asking you for your login or offering free Linden dollars. Always remember, if it sounds too good to be true, it is. We are taking steps to kind of mitigate those messages. We're monitoring reports. We're working to improve the tools we use to detect and prevent spam and malicious activity. I'm not going to go into any of those details of what those are because I don't want to tell anybody what it is we're doing so they can get around it. But we are looking into all of those. I know trust and safety, we used to have a governance office hour way back when. We are looking at bringing back a trust and safety office hour within the next few months. And so I'll have some members of my trust and safety team there to talk about issues like this, to bring up concerns like this. But yeah, please don't click on links that you see. If you have a friend who you haven't talked to in years and all of a sudden they pop online and say, hey, you know, will you sell me some Linden dollars or will you buy some Linden dollars off of me? Please pass on that. It's probably not a good idea. It's probably not legit. So, yeah.
Okay, so just be aware, like we have to be in every other avenue of our life. Be aware of people asking for money and passwords.
Right. I mean, I don't think it's a problem that's unique to Second Life. Unfortunately, I think we have to be on the lookout everywhere. We go now for things like that. We have to be really careful about who we give our login information to. But yeah, we are looking at many different ways to strengthen account security here.
Well, and I also know that now there's it's been around for a while, the multi-factor login information. Yes. I'm sure that helps with account security as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've been talking about, two-factor auth for a little bit. In the last couple of months, we've put out some messages of the day. We've had a couple of talks about account security. We've put it up in blog posts. We're going to keep doing that. We're going to keep putting it out there and letting people know. But we're also going to keep looking into ways to make accounts more secure.
Good to know. Final question for this kind of category is asking about why voice chat was taken away from the info hubs.
So, yeah, that was definitely a difficult decision. And we had to look at it from many different angles before we decided to go ahead and cut that off. Voice was removed from the info hubs because, unfortunately, too many people were abusing it. The info hubs, we like to say that they are places for new residents. We want it to be a welcoming space, kind of a gathering space. And some people were using it to harass, spam, or disrupt other people, and it makes those public areas feel chaotic and unsafe. We want those spaces to be a positive, helpful environment for everybody, especially those people who are just starting out. But when voice becomes a tool for abuse instead of for that connection, we have to take steps to protect the larger community experience. That said, we're always watching how these changes impact residents, and we may revisit opening things up in the future. But it's always going to be with that eye of, is this going to be more helpful or is it going to be more detrimental?
Well, and I think that you have to weigh that a lot of times. Somebody says, oh, this would be a great idea. And you might immediately think, yeah, that is a great idea. And then you realize, yeah, but it affects this and this and this and this.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I would love to have voice turned on everywhere, but then we have people who use it as a means to harass other people and make everything chaotic. So we have to kind of moderate that a little bit.
All right. We have some questions about events. Specifically, Shop and Hop has some questions. Is Shop and Hop going too far when it competes with user-created shopping events such as Halloween, Christmas, or Valentine's Day? Smaller shopping events held at the same time will be crushed.
I can probably kind of chime in on this one. Whenever we do Shop and Hop, we're always cognizant of, how anything we might do could impact something like that. We haven't heard really from any like the event runners or creators or such involved with them reach out to us in that kind of vein. So this is kind of the first I'm really kind of hearing about it, surfaced. And we think that Shop and Hop, from an event perspective, is pretty different from the other events in that it tends to be a mix of all things. And the many other very successfully run, creator and or other resident driven events, are themed, whether they're holiday specific or community or, genre specific, interest specific. They tend to be more thematic and specific to those sorts of things than like Shop and Hop, right? And I feel like they do very well and do very, do a great job with that. So, we're always open to feedback and hearing more thoughts on this. But we do try to kind of maintain a balance of, differentiating the Shop and Hop being something that, we run a few times a year. And while it may be tied to, seasonal occasion or like right now, and, specifically it's SLB, we're not there to blot out all of the other very successful and great resident run events that are taking place.
And the other thing that I would like to say about the Shop and Hop is I really do feel that even though we have a Halloween Shop and Hop and we have a winter Shop and Hop, but like Patch said, you don't have to be in theme, but the whole point of the Shop and Hop is that we don't have there's not the push on exclusive brand new content. It's about sales and it's about gifts. So it's being able to go and find your favorite creators or your new favorite creators and get some of their older things at a bit of a discount. So I do think that it is coming at the event experience from a different perspective than a lot of the resident run monthly events come at it from. We had another question, and I will say that I am the person who organizes Shop and Hop, so I feel like I can respond to this question that's coming up. The question is, why does it seem that certain stores seem to consistently be present at Shop and Hop events and others are only there sometimes, or maybe they haven't gotten a chance at all yet? And all I can say about that is that it really is, it's a lottery. That's the best way to describe it. I know that I've had people come to me and they say, well, I applied at the first minute that the announcement was put on the blog. We don't pick people based on the time that they apply. It is open for a week. Applications are usually open for a week. They are announced on the Second Life community blog so that everybody has an opportunity to see them. And then once the applications are closed, we do a review. And it really is a lottery of who gets in and who doesn't. And having also said that, we usually have a lot more applications than we have stores to give away. So, just because you apply, unfortunately, it doesn't mean that you get a chance. But definitely do try to get new people in there every time so that everybody does have a chance to be involved in this. Which leads to the next question, which is, wouldn't Shop and Hop be more inclusive if there was space for everybody who applied?
Well, yeah, Missy, so let me just kind of counter ask you a quick question before I kind of maybe finish that question off. Give me the numbers. How many people applied for SLB Shop and Hop?
I believe I had 864 people apply for the Shop
Okay.
and Hop.
And how many spaces were we able to get set up to basically hand out through the lottery system of,
Well,
assigning spaces?
480, and that's divided into general and adult. So I have 400 general stores and 80 adult stores.
Okay.
And
Okay. So right. So almost like basically double the amount of applications compared to the amount of spaces we can muster up and give out, which kind of speaks to, the fact that we do have to keep the event scalable, right? If we were to just kind of step out there and say it can be as big as however many people apply, I'd need 10 Missies. And I can tell you, she works really, really hard at going through the 800 plus, which is a very regular number. And I do know the numbers. I just wanted to kind of reveal them. For every Shop and Hop, sometimes as many as 1,000. And we have to keep the event itself sized, somewhere kind of reasonably, right? We have to be able to manage it. The team's only so big, and a lot of work goes into it, and time and stuff is spent on, setting up and run. For those of you who know how to run these events and these shopping events and such, a lot about what I'm speaking towards when it takes the time to kind of, wrangle all of your merchants and everything like that and get them set up in their spaces, and then do all the reviews and checks and make sure that the event's ready to go off without a hitch, right? And be a success and be fun. So that said, there's also a part of it that's, that makes the event special, right? Is the fact that it's kind of a limited run engagement. And so, running an event endlessly, because I've even heard the notion brought up of, well, why don't you just give us as many spaces as there are merchants who want to do it and let it run for as long as, we want it to run. I'm like, well, that's not an event, right? That's actually not the definition of it. So, at this point, I think, the best answer I think we have is we have to keep it sane. We have to keep it scalable. I'll apologize up front that not everybody can get in every time. If you feel like you just don't get picked, and that happens to be by coincidence of repetition that's happened, reach out to Missy and let her know, and she'll try to see what she can do. A lot of times she even maintains fallbacks and fallback lists and such, where sometimes a creator has something come up, right? Like real life happens and such, and they have to step out and say, hey, I can't do it. I can't set up in time. And so she has people, that sometimes back out, and she'll then kind of tap into her list of fallbacks and such that she's maybe accumulated, and try to get you in.
Absolutely will. I am always excited by all of the new people that have never been involved in the Shop and Hop before that apply. I usually have half the applications are new people that haven't been in before. And I wish I could take you all, but it, like Patch said, it would be too big of an event, and we just need to keep it manageable so that everybody who's in it has a really good experience. And if you haven't gotten in yet, just keep applying. And yes, please talk to me. That's really important. And I can tell you that I always have stores that I am looking to fill at the end. Even if I fill up every single one, I assign every single store, there are always people who, when it comes to setup, are simply not able to be there and get set up. And it's usually around 5 to 10%. So I'm looking for maybe 20 people in the last few days that I need to get into stores. So definitely just get in touch with me. Talk to me. I'm not scary. Look at me. I'm a dinky. I'm not scary. All right, moving on. We have some questions about payment and billing. Simply, not everybody has PayPal. Has it ever been considered that maybe Google Pay would be a great addition to add as a payment method?
Yeah, I mean, we are a global community, so payment flexibility is going to be really important. As everybody should know, if you don't, Tilia, now Tunes, is handling all of our payment processing, including our payouts. I do know that they're actively looking into additional payment options. I don't know that Google Pay specifically, and that doesn't mean that they're not. I just don't know. I'm not aware. But I can certainly make sure that that is somewhere on their thought processes. They're looking at different payment methods to add. I will say if and when new payment methods do become available, we always will announce it on our blog. We'll usually give a preview and, let you know, hey, it's coming, and then let you know, hey, it's here. But yeah, we appreciate the feedback. I will make sure I pass that along at the next meeting I have with them all.
Is there any possibility that the option to pay SL tier the bill early because someone's going on vacation or bad weather or, maybe hospitalization, something like that? Is that a possibility to be able to do that, pay your tier early?
Something that I know we in support have heard from a lot of people over the years, and it's something that we have talked about. It's not something that we can do right now, but it would be a great suggestion. We'd have to do a lot of programmatic changes in order to have that happen. So the best thing to do for that is to submit it to our feedback portal and put the suggestion there, make sure that it's being seen by the right teams, and they can take a look at it. Support can kind of bolster that and say, yes, we've heard this many comments about people wanting to pay early for whatever reasons, right? And we can maybe get it on a roadmap somewhere down the line.
All right, good to know. All right, we have a few more questions that have come in from the audience. Let's see. Here's one about legacy name changing. Question was, legacy name change costs a significant amount of money, but it still allows people to know what the previous name of the avatar was. Is it possible to change your name and to not let people know what the old name was?
So yes, this was probably the number one point of decision we had to make when we were bringing back the ability to, I guess not bringing back, but enabling the ability to do name changes on accounts. There was an overwhelming response to this particular question of, should changing my name obfuscate who I have been in Second Life? And a lot of the concern around this was, and I suppose depending on what lens you look at this through, was about the concern of, people hiding, and or engaging in nefarious activities and then changing their name, and now you couldn't basically go back and track that down to who they were before and things of that nature. And so the system was designed with kind of that history of, having the ability to discover, who somebody's past identities have been, with that in mind. And so it's a safety feature in the sense that I think that the community at the time's overwhelming stance was that you should be able to be tracked backwards or traced backwards through your prior name changes over time. Now, times change, right? And this was a while ago. And I would suggest that if there's overwhelming call to do something like obfuscate name changes, where your former identities could be hidden, that's probably good feedback for the feedback portal, and see what kind of popularity that has. I saw somebody just throw in there, well, maybe you should charge people for that privilege too. And it's like, well, yeah, but I don't like to charge for everything. But also, while I'm here as a reminder, name change fees do come with discounting levels, depending on what level premium you are. For basic accounts and plus accounts, it's $49.99. For premium, you get a discount. It takes it to $34.99. For premium plus, it's $14.99. So just as a general reminder.
All right, so this is what I know a lot of people have been waiting for. And Patch, I'm just going to let you say whatever you want to say about this. Are you going to do a membership drive for lifetime premium and premium plus members? If so, how many? When's it going to happen? What are all the details?
Oh boy. I figured this one had to be coming up at some point. We are not going to do any lifetime accounts for birthday this year. I'm reserving them for use with other special events and such that happen, particularly with our fantastic partnership with the American Cancer Society and Relay for Life, and events in which we specifically can attribute and use opportunities to get those levels of accounts in benefit of those funds being donated to those charitable organizations. I feel like is a better use of featuring the opportunities to get those accounts throughout the rest of this year at least. And that's where I'll leave that.
So basically what you're saying is they might be available. Go out and support American Cancer Society.
Yes, or maybe some of the other charitable organizations. We work with a few.
Yes. Well, I think that's a wonderful way to not only get a lifetime membership, but also support a great cause.
Yes, I agree.
And I do have to say that I think that Linden Lab does an amazing job supporting different charitable organizations. I have been really impressed. And I know that they are very involved with the American Cancer Society, but I know that there are other ones that they also are involved with. And I think it means a lot to the community as a whole that the lab is so generous when it comes to these involvements.
Yeah, it's been a big part of what I've done throughout my tenure here at Linden. I'm very proud of the relationships that we've built with the various charity organizations. And I am super, super proud of and very thankful to our extremely generous community and participating in the ways and the levels they have, sometimes even record-breaking levels that they have over the years.
Yes. So I will say thank you to the lab, but you're right, Patch. It's also a thank you to the community because the generosity of the lab wouldn't be as impressive as it is if we also didn't have an equally generous community supporting it. All right, so we have some questions from the audience. I think we have a few more minutes here. So let's see. I think we kind of already covered this. I'll just throw it out again. Will there be some Premium Plus homes that are season change?
So we have to build that from the ground up. And all I'll say is that we may do some more of that in other upcoming Linden home releases.
Fair enough.
And let me include, we actually have a request from some content creators asking how they can hook into our season changing system, and we're working on that. So stay tuned for more there.
That's exciting. And you do have a few months. I mean, it's the height of summer now. And so you've got a few months before you have to change the leaves on the trees or get the snow caps on the roof. So
yes. Yes, and opening it up to where other content creators can make content that will also be seasonal reactive. I think it'd be pretty cool because there's some pretty cool stuff out there now that actually kind of does it. But it would be really cool if it could also talk to our system and change with it.
Oh, that'd be amazing. I definitely be very excited to see that happen, that collaboration happen. Are Linden staff going to be out and about visiting folks on the grid like they used to?
Yes, there's nothing stopping them now. We always hear. I think one of my favorite the favorite things I've heard over the years is Lindens are rarer than dragons, and it's so amazing to see you in person when you're out and about. I agree. And we're a pretty small, compact team, and we do try to get out and be in world and socialize and be in various places as much as we can. I always like to think we can do more. And I'll make sure that I share that with the team. Hey, get in the world and talk to people. But specifically, as support has been ramping up, and we heard a little bit about this, throughout, the meeting today. There will be even more opportunities there where support specifically will be available and make more appearances in world to help you.
Well, that's exciting. And I know that there's been a lot of Lindens around the birthday estate at the different events. I know they were at your opening speech patch, and I suspect that we will see them here during the week. And you never know. There's a lot of exhibits and interactive stuff going on. You never know where you're going to see one pop up. So keep your eyes open. Okay, here's another one. Izzy, you've been very quiet. Here, I'll toss you this question.
Wait, am I still here? Oh no.
You are still here. Why do you keep making, you specifically, why do you keep making new themes before finishing the previous ones, which devalues those older themes and delays their completion?
Okay, so this is kind of a complicated answer because the question doesn't exactly, in my opinion, target the actual situation. I don't actually view any theme as ever being complete. Because we may have an initial map for what we picture a situation for it, but it's kind of an ongoing process. So rather than picture a 50 region complete build, we go ahead and map out a certain number of regions, which varies depending on what we think the theme will be like. But we might only release 5 to 15 regions initially, and then as those get populated, then we release a few more based on how popular it is. I mean, if it's going away day by day, we might release 10 each time. If it just goes away occasionally, we might only release 3 to 5 each time. But if we were to go ahead and put 50 regions out right off the bat, then it would be very empty until, slowly it gets used up. So we try to watch, basically what we think the popularity will be, do an initial release, and then expand on that as time goes based on the interests. As far as why we release new themes before quote-unquote finishing the previous ones, again, it's not exactly a perfect correlation because I don't view them as really ever being finished, but there are so many people in Second Life, and people have so many different ideas as to what they want, that we're constantly trying to query our residents and release varied kinds of themes, so that way we're catching up on the interests of everybody. If we're only releasing these 3 themes until they're completely used up, then somebody who likes a completely different kind of theme may never have an interest in Linden Homes. For example, imagine if we never released the fantasy theme because we were so busy dealing with other ones, which is why we do things like putting out polls for suggestions on our newest Linden Home theme and stuff like that. So hopefully I answered it enough.
Seemed like you did a very good job answering that question. So good, I'm going to give you another one.
Okay, I'll do bad on this one so you won't give me any more.
Is Cape Ecom, the place with the giant dragon cave, guaranteed? It's a very fiery word, to be saved from the old Linden Homes deletion.
While I can't 100% ever guarantee anything, I'm looking over at you, Patch. I will say that Cape Ecom is something that we take very, very, very seriously, and it's definitely been taken into consideration for how we maintain the history of the Second Life Linden Home program. I mean, it's a very integral part of those original Linden Homes. So while I can't comment on the plan at the moment, it is 100% a common topic in that planning process. So hopefully you got what you wanted out of that without me actually saying it. How's that?
Well, I can comment on it.
Yay!
And I can guarantee it is not going anywhere. And I'll just park this out there. What we do with it, and after all of the old Linden homes are retired, is to make a special area that will pay tribute to the history there.
Thank you, Patch, and thank you to whomever asked the question, because it helped us release that bit of information.
Right. I think we're just about out of time. I have a couple of more questions here I can throw out. If everybody has a few more minutes. I'll take that as a yes. Kian, is it possible that customer support be offered later in the evening, live chat, simply because a lot of people work during the day and they miss the live chat hours?
I guess I can take that one. We're currently setting our hours as they are right now, but that doesn't mean that they can't change in the future. Part of that reorg and getting more people in is going to be, looking at, different areas, different time. We can look at different reports that show us, when the most people are contacting us and all that. So we can look at, where support is needed most. And if we find that we do need to expand those hours, we might be able to do that in the future.
Well, what I have gotten from this conversation today with the three of you is that the departments are flexible. They want to communicate with residents and they want to hear thoughts so that they can take things into consideration to best serve the community. That's what I've taken away from today.
Absolutely. I mean, that was our whole, reason for that shift from customer support to customer success is that, once we get everything settled and everybody trained and all of that, we kind of make that shift to how do we make things better for the residents? How do we make their second life more successful for them? So that is absolutely where we are at.
All right, so I will end with one final question. This is about AI, so that's exciting. Had to throw one in. Will we have a translation system, text or perhaps voice with AI one day? There are many people on Second Life from around the world who speak many languages, and maybe AI would be able to help people communicate. And I don't even know who to direct that to.
So this is usually a question I would aim at Grumpity and her team, but I can probably speak a little bit to it, but I don't want to also misspeak for the team. The team's been working on the new voice stuff, and with the voice protocol software that they've been working on, they were actually looking into this as well as text based translation stuff. I don't know where they are at present with that, and like I said, I don't want to misspeak for them, but that would probably be a great question to run past the product team.
Who will be here tomorrow. So I want to thank everybody for coming. You've been a great audience. Thank you, Patch, Keira, and Izzy for joining us here today and answering our questions. You've done a great job. You've given us a lot of good information to think about, and just hopefully really encouraged us to know that we can come to you and speak our mind. So thank you everyone for being here. And don't forget to join us again tomorrow when we will be here with the product and engineering team. It is pre-recorded, but that doesn't mean that there might not be someone here to answer some audience questions. So please come tomorrow, 1 p.m. SLT right here. I don't know if I can say this, but I'm going to. Same bat time, same bat channel. We hope to see you. Bye.
Hi, everybody.
Bye, everybody, and thank you, Missy. And Squeaky.
Everyone, thanks for coming. Thanks for asking questions, Missy.
It's that time of year again. No, not that one. It's time for Second Life's birthday. Second Life turns 22 this year, and this year we celebrate myths and legends. You are hereby cordially invited to tour the amazing resident exhibits, dance at the beautiful new stages, and attend the Meet the Lindens events. And no birthday would be complete without presents, right? There are Swagginator prizes to be had and a Dragon Egg collection hunt. And like always, there are gifts to enjoy at the Shop and Hop. Maybe you'll even find an extra special present for yourself or a friend there too. SL22B opens on June 20th, 2025 and runs through July 20th. So put on your best armor, make an offering to the teleport gods, and come on down to SLB Awesome and start your quest today. It's gonna be legendary.